everyone, I'm Malti and welcome to Product Talk with Malti. This show started with a simple mission to bring real, unfiltered conversation about product, tech, and leadership to life. If you are new here, welcome. We bring to you deep conversations, real insights, and trust me, this episode is yet another very powerful one. But before we dive in, I just want to ask you for one thing. If you find value from these conversations, hit that subscribe button. Hey, I'm super excited to have Apurva Shrivastava today, who is a senior product tech leader at Amazon. In the past, he has worked with Visa and he has led SaaS, payment solutions, and e-commerce product. So I actually want to kind of deep dive a little bit over here, Apurva, because I know you're also a very passionate, AI tech leader. One question, AI ML has been something I think in the regulatory world has been used in a lot of such use cases like fraud detection. It is quite matured now over a number of years. But it has been very recently democratized. And I think one question which I get from a lot of PMs is that how much should they really understand the technology part of it? So do you, I mean, having been in this space, do you want to kind of share your perspective?
So, just to repeat the question, like understand the tech part of AI
How
or
technical
just
should they be? Should they
okay.
understand how AI/ML works? How technical should they get if they are building, let's say, AI powered product?
Okay, this is again very controversial topic. So it depends, but your product actually dictates and defines how technical you should be. That would be my answer. Like if you're working on, let's say again, compliance solutions, you are building screening engines, you are building ID verifications. So how AI or like as a PM, now what is ID verification for any layman means, hey, you are Malti. I should be able to identify you with the documents that you give. And then you should be able to transact in or like sell your products in US or India or tomorrow Europe and Brazil. But if you see, the problem is the regulations are different. So in each geography, should I ask again and again from Malti, hey Malti, you need to provide these three documents and you need to go through the entire onboarding again if you want to sell now in Europe. Hey Malti, we need another because we need to verify that you are a good seller. Give us everything again, and then okay, now you are able to sell stuff in Brazil, right? So this is the challenge. This becomes a business challenge because then sellers would be frustrated. How it becomes a technical challenge is, okay, business says we should not ask Malti again and again directly that okay, if she wants to sell in different marketplaces, she has to go through entire registration process again, has to do entire KYC again, so on and so forth. We should have a profile and we should then try and evaluate what the delta is and then probably send an email, hey, can you provide me your XYZ document as part of ABC thing that we are doing, which should be very subtle, right? But the technical challenge is if you don't understand how these technologies are working, once we get all the documents and inputs for Malti, depending on geography, I have to have different flows. If I have to make sure that you can sell in EU, there is this entire stack of EU regulation that I need to check whether you are actually compliant. And if whatever the delta is, then I should be able to actually check if you want to sell. For example, you showed interest in selling in three different marketplaces. Okay, what are the three different marketplaces regulations? What does it mean to us? What are the extra documents or information that we need from Malti? And then what is the common denominator that I can get from her, which will help me evaluate all of this? And everything has to be done like super quick, right? So I'll probably ask you just one document if that's the best case scenario, and I'll do it through an email or maybe through on the portal. That's it. On portal, hey, can you upload this? Rather than having you go through three different registration processes altogether. Now, as a PM, when you're building solution, you need to understand business part that is given, but you also need to understand the tech part of how these three different stacks exist, how they are evaluating. And again, this is non-AI stuff kind of situation. But similarly, if I'm taking ID verification as an example, I have certain features at a platform level, which are your multimodal ID verification, AI powered. Then I need to understand what kind of profile or graph I have for Malti and what is exactly needed. And then how it can be implemented. Should I implement that particular resolution layer as a platform layer, or it should be at node level, which is like your seller level, so on and so forth. So because you need to understand all these things in detail, the tech part, you probably don't need to understand what kind of coding language is being used, or like probably latency you should have idea about, because I'm trying to give example, but all of these become relevant because latency becomes super important in these situations. But what kind of database is getting used to store Maltese data? I don't care as a PA. But what I care about is, do I understand deeply enough the tech stack on which the system is built, so that I can help the team devise better solutions. At the same time, I'm able to explain to my business partners of what can be done and cannot be done by the product. Otherwise, it becomes again a cat and mouse game. We'll take business requirements, then we'll sit 1 week with the tech team and try and understand, and then we'll go back, try and communicate them, and it's a waste of time. So as a PM, you should be technical enough. The answer is, just trying to summarize, you should be technical enough that you are able to represent your technical team to external stakeholders in ensuring and communicating what can be done and cannot be done. And if certain things are absolutely essential, how much time will it require? You should not be going to your tech team again and again for asking the same questions. You should be that much technical. Now, if your product is highly technical, you need to be highly technical to understand that. If it is not, then you don't. And it translates exactly to your AI products. Now, are you working on models? Then yes, you need to work on evals and different stuff. But if you are working on a product that is built on top of LLM, probably not. Then you need to understand what is that my system is offering. You still need to understand what LLMs have to offer, what is the difference between different models, what are LLMs. These kind of basic technical knowledge, definitely. The depth totally depends, or is directly proportional to the product that you're selling. Another example, which we used to do in Visa, I was in Visa before Amazon. I was working for CyberSource, which is a PayFac, and you're in fintech, so like payment facilitator, right? So our product is actually APIs that we externalize to customers. Now, as a PM, I should know what REST APIs are, what are request response parameters, how do I write an API, how do I externalize that API if a developer, because my end customer becomes a developer, if a developer is asking certain questions, I should be able to answer most of it. And then if it's like super technical, then yes, maybe a solution architect or a developer can pitch in. But then because the product is itself API, you have to be technical. You cannot say like, I don't know. And similarly, if it's your basic marketplace subscription business, probably you don't need to understand everything in detail of how the platform is working. If you know, better. If not, it's fine. I'm sorry, it was a very long-winded answer because it's a gray zone. I personally feel, because I've come from a software development background, knowing tech is better, may not be essential for every product, but the more you know, the better.
No, I agree. I mean, I've done the same transition, and I do feel, since you're building tech products, I think it is always helpful for having the right conversation with especially with your tech partners.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you are, there's this thing in product world, it's like you are the face of the customer or the CEO of the system and all that crap. I don't believe in anything. You are the face of the customer, but for the customer, you're the face of the tech team.
Correct.
So you need to play both.
I agree. You are that interpreter.
Yeah.
Right.
The product management is coordination.
It is just that, the orchestration.
Yes. And on that line, sorry, I'll digress, and we can keep it out if it's not necessary. The only definition that I resonate with of product management has been, I think, bring the donuts. I think it's Ken Norton's definition. Where he says, if your job as a PM is to bring donuts every morning because having certain donuts improves your engineering productivity by 2x, then that's what a PM should do.
Okay, I have not heard. That's a very interesting one. Yeah, that's what they say, right? How are you still watching? That means you're finding value in this conversation. And there's coming more on your way. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Be that person who's constantly removing bottlenecks for every team. That kind of resonates very well. And actually, on that context, since we are there, right, technology and things like that. Right now, with AI, one of the key benefits that we are seeing is that our product development life cycles are kind of getting more and more compressed, right? Code is being generated. Now, how does that work in a regulatory world? I mean, are there some governance policies coming around that, or is that an acceptable norm to say that, okay, generated code is what can be shipped even for, let's say, products which are in the regulatory space?
That's a good question. I haven't seen it, but I don't think it should be a problem because regulations, again, as I said, regulations in regulatory space are more for consumers' benefits, and regulators in general do not worry about how it is being done. And I agree, like future, like the time is for with GenAI and all this, like the time is for the super ICs, as we hear the word. There'll be a time, probably not now, but where probably PMs or engineers who are product focused or product managers who are tech focused can build entire applications out. Not talking about like vibe coding because no one is going to ship a vibe coded product, but there'll be a time where PM will be wearing multiple hats, and they should
Hmm.
be probably creating prototyping faster by generating code, so on and so forth. Because at the end of the day, see what happens in any company, even if a PM is generating code, and it hardly will go to production without going under the eyes of a seasoned engineer. So rest assured, because compliance comes secondary. First, it's the company's reputation, right? So whatever you're shipping, the company already ensures that it's top quality. And then once it is done, so in this space, the secondary part becomes the compliance. So we are already then at the same level where we are today. So we have ensured that the code that is going out or the feature that are going out is for the good of the consumer and is of top quality. And then if you see in that light, from external point of view, compliance and becomes the same table stakes. But what can be done internally, I agree. Like, who is generating the code? That equation will change with GenAI, and it can be like much faster. But I don't see like heavy regulations on like cursor, etc., Windsurf. I don't think regulators should care who is generating the code because even today they don't.
That's right. I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's just the space is evolving so much. I just thought it makes sense for us to just have some thoughts around that.
Maybe,
And
yeah,
come,
because there can be, again, because it's evolving so fast, I might be wrong in probably next 3, 4 months. So something might happen. So you never know. But again, the thing is, you're right. You have to be proactive. You have to keep an eye if something like this is happening and then adopt to it because then you'll be late and you'll have to like rewrite everything. And
yeah, but yeah, this space is like so much evolving, right? And in that context, Apurva, other question I have is that I think one of the key tenets for AI PM, especially in compliance industry, is even more around making sure that we are building it responsibly, right?
Mhm.
So today, when you are building your products, are there some specific aspects that you look at? Are there tools? Are there templates that you look up to when you are building your products?
Okay, so that's a good question. Not exactly like not no templates. So when you say like responsible AI, how I interpret it as, especially in this world, everyone is running around implementing Gen AI in whatever flows they have,
Hmm.
whether it makes sense or not. So I think the first part of responsible AI for me is first to evaluate what kind of technology needs to be in place to solve the problem that you're trying to solve. Gen AI can solve most of the problems, but it's not required for solving all the problems. So I
Hmm.
think that is fun because implementing these solutions are like costly. If you need to have small language models or large language models or working on data, you need to set up a team. And if you're doing it just for the sake of you want to call your company or your team an AI powered team, I think the responsibility starts there. Do you have the right parameters to evaluate your business use case? What kind of AI ML solution does it need? First question is whether it's needed. And then second is if it's needed, then at what level? Can I solve certain problem just by prompt engineering? If yes, I don't need to probably employ RAG model,
Hmm.
right? If certain use cases, for example, chatbot, if I have a chatbot and my use case is very simple, for example, a retail, not a retail, but let's take example of like chatbots. I love that example because, for example, I have a real estate website, which is a local real estate website. I don't need to have a chatbot that is powered by LLM. And there have been like various use cases where people have duped or like filed lawsuits on the company because they were able to manipulate the LLM model to sell them certain things at a cheaper rate. It can be just a rule-based chat engine, but for bigger marketplaces, you need to have a very smart chatbot where I can just go in and write the query, hey, I want to buy a recliner under $1,000, which needs to have these five things. What should I buy? And probably with a rating of 4.5 star plus. and you have your top three results. So same problem, different industry, different solution. But if you go with just the problem that, okay, I need to create a chatbot. Hey, everyone is creating chatbot using GenAI and LLMs and all that. Let's do it. Then it doesn't make sense. So for me, my definition for responsible AI in compliance or in any space is first evaluating properly whether you need it or not, and then going deeper into, even if you need that, there are different solutions, like as I said, prompt engineering, RAG, a human in the loop, even with Gen AI. So what is the technical detail you want your solution to go into, and whether it's needed or not, and how do you evaluate it? Evaluation becomes super important.
Yeah. Going back again to the, do the right problem identification for the technology and also to look at the problem
Yes.
solution fit.
Yes, yeah, because do not follow the bandwagon that, okay, we should build
Yeah,
something
that
in
is
Gen AI.
true, right? And from a solutioning perspective, there are definitely new lenses, as you said, right? Depending upon the magnitude of the problem, what would be the right approach that we need to solve for it? You don't need a, let's say, a Mercedes to go from here for 200 meters, which you can
Yeah.
probably just walk down or you can just cycle down.
Yes. One interesting thought there is with AI, Gen AI, in compliance space or even like in other spaces, the possibilities have grown. So the same PM in one quarter can build 10 different products or come up with ideas for 10 different products because the possibilities have expanded. So now you can brainstorm into new creative solutions and new spaces altogether. That is a different case where you should try and think of where I can use AI and Gen AI and all the technologies that are coming along to solve compliance use cases. If you're taking example more creatively, for example, like how can I make ID verification even faster? How can I work with banks, ad, etc., to make bank account verification a one click process? Can it be done? This is the other part. What is happening, which should not happen, is we have existing solutions. We are trying to reinvent the wheel using Gen AI in everything. So that's the part that I was referring to. But it definitely, we need to like broaden our thinking horizon to think what can be done as PM specifically. What else can be done? What are the problems that were that were earlier we were not even touching because we never knew that these can be solved, and those can be solved now. So as a PM, doing what we were doing becomes easier or faster, and with the remaining time, you need to spend time on understanding what extra or like what new pieces can be solved using AI.
Yeah, no, I think that's very well said. And I'm really glad, we could manage to touch upon various aspects of what PM needs to look at while building in a regulatory world,
Mhm.
managing their stakeholders. How does the lens changes with the change in the technology, looking for new opportunities, the kind of technology depth that would help a PM to become successful, some of the trade-offs that needs to be made. So I think those were some very, very wonderful. And I'm so glad that you took about so many examples, relevant this thing that kind of helps them to map it out when they are listening to this episode. So thank you for doing it so beautifully.
I'm glad you find it helpful, and I had a great time talking to you. This was really
Same
fun.
here. Same here. Thank you so much, Apurva.
Thank you so much.
A huge thank you to Apurva. What a powerful conversation. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. So if you haven't subscribed already, do hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. A huge shout out to all our viewers. Your support keeps this podcast alive. So don't forget to follow me on LinkedIn, subscribe to our Substack newsletter, DM me on Instagram, tweet me in the rate PTWM, and listen to all our episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcast. See you next time.